Hello, everyone. Welcome again back to the stage. I'm now bringing with us U.S. 2020 presidential candidate Brock Pierce, who is a phenomenal individual who I've had the pleasure to get to know and get to know more about how he's going to be running his campaign, which is unique and different than ever's been done before. And he is an individual that has the skill, the know-how, and the experience of making things happen. So that's why I wanted to bring him to the stage today as one of our keynote speakers to help to share his message with the world. And so we can learn more about what he's going to be bringing to the table in his presidential election candidacy. And yeah, Brock, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm grateful and glad to be here to connect with everybody focused on bringing some harmony into the world at a time where we desperately need it.
Yes, we do. It's lots going on in the world, but I feel like there's a lot of people stepping into positions to make some massive changes right now that are needed. So, in regards to you and your campaign that's going on right now, how are things going as you move into things and get started on this campaign?
Well, it's never a dull moment. It's nonstop, and well, it's new and exciting for me in the sense that I've done a number of things in my life, but this is not one of them. And so, as a curious person and as someone that is always excited to learn new things, it's definitely a lot of that. It's like drinking from the fire hose. Well, and to see the inner workings of our political system and to know firsthand how the system is rigged to prevent independent or third party candidates from challenging the duopoly. I think we all know that, at least intuitively, or at least we've heard this. It's another thing actually, like having walked the path, and I can tell you like all the things that I've seen and discovered on this journey.
Yeah, and just a quick background so people can get to know you as an individual, other than running for president right now. I mean, you've done a lot of amazing things in your life. You're one of the pioneers in cryptocurrency, child actor in some of the movies I grew up loving, and amongst many other things. What are some? Can you tell us just real quick about some of like the impact things? I know you've worked on quite a few different impact projects and different things like that in the world.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of things in my life. I grew up as an actor. That was in my childhood, and at the age of 16, back in the mid 90s, I decided I wanted to be an internet entrepreneur, recognizing that this internet thing was going to change the world. I had no idea how to do that, but that didn't stop me from figuring out how, and so did that. Initially focused on digital media, and then I got very into virtual worlds, and I've started many businesses, like dozens, and mentored and advised, again, dozens more, started multiple venture funds, funded lots of things, and, lots of different stuff all over the world, built businesses all over the planet. But most of my focus in recent years has been in sort of civil service. I'm here in service to humanity, to this nation, to the greater good. And as part of that, I measure my life, I measure my success in life by the positive impact I have in the world. And so, I'm not doing things, I'm not motivated by money. Like I like to say, a billionaire isn't someone with $1 billion, but someone who's positively impacted the lives of 1 billion people. And so I live in Puerto Rico principally, and through these very challenging times, it's really been in delivering and donating masks to Caribbean first responders in need, whether it be in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, or the Amazon or the Navajo Nation, and trying to meet those needs. Also, getting food from farmers and delivering it to families in need. And I've done a little bit I'm a little man, but I'm learning. Certainly, as I get better at these things, and I have better tools at my disposal, we'll be able to do even bigger things. But philanthropy, impact-based investing, and civil service are my principal areas of focus.
Wonderful. And now the next focus is to help all of America, right? And the world.
At a time where we need it.
Yeah.
I think we face a number of very real existential threats, not just as a nation, but as a species. This really feels to me like the 11th hour. This feels like our defining moment. It feels like now is the time to act. I mean, the future is going to happen to us, or it's going to happen with us. And we have the power to co-create a future that we all want to live in. We really do. The partisan political system is a minority. The silent majority is mostly just not tuning in and not exercising the power that they have. I mean, just the youth of the nation, 35, half the population of the planet is under the age of 35. When the youth of this nation understand that they are the sleeping giant, and the moment they wake up to their power and understand their voice and how much their voice counts, everything changes right away. This is the year 2020, a year where we're learning to expect the unexpected. And so, we'll see what we're able to do here over these next 3 months. And we'll see how things go on November 3rd, or Election Day.
Yeah, well, you have my support, my whole team's support, and we're here to help you harmonize America and the world any way we can. And that's why we wanted to bring you on here, because I felt your heart and your sincerity for wanting to make a difference and wanting to be for the collective and co-create. Like you said, we can actively start co-creating this new future. And in regards to the technology side and your platform, I know you're going to be doing a very unique, different way for your campaign. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you're going to be utilizing the modern day technologies and tools we have, which should be getting used for your campaign?
Yeah, so a lot of the work, the vast majority of the work that I've done in my career as a small business builder, as someone that builds things out of nothing, have been in the area of technology, or at least where technology has was a critical component of whatever it is that we were doing. And so I think that technology is very important. I think that it's changing all of our lives. It's changing all of our businesses, and it will continue to do so. And technology is just a tool. It can either enhance our lives or harm our lives. And that will be decided and determined by the intentions of the people that are building these things and how we use them. And I think it's imperative that we have leadership that understands technology and understands how it's impacting our lives, so that we make really good decisions that ensure that technology will be here as a tool to enhance our lives. I think this is really important. And if we want to if we want to change the world in a positive way, technology is really, the primary answer. We can't plant enough trees fast enough to deal with, call it, the carbon situation that we have, or the methane gas that's coming out of the polar caps. If we want to address that problem, it's not going to be through planting trees. It's going to be, obviously we have to do that too, but it's going to be using technology to take carbon out of the air and putting that carbon then into our beverages, like Global Thermostat does and other companies. Innovators, dreamers, and creators are going to be the ones that make the tools that get us out of this mess. And so I'm just a huge believer in innovation. I believe that entrepreneurs and hardworking Americans built this nation. And I believe that it's dreamers again, innovators and entrepreneurs and hardworking Americans that are going to get us out of this mess. And so I'm a firm believer in it. So technology matters. One of the ways that we're using that in the campaign, which is different than probably anything you've seen a presidential candidate do before, is, normally how do presidential candidates come up with their policies, right? They have meetings behind closed doors in private with lots of lobbyists, advisors. and then they decide, what the right policies might be. And so we're going to do something very different. And that is, we're going to show you, I'm going to explain our process, right? Because it's not about, telling you and broadcasting the answer and telling you what it is. It's actually collaborating with you. And so I'm going to do live virtual town halls, conversations like the ones that we're having now, the one we're having now, with the policy sort of advisors I have. So you know who's advising me. Like, I'm going to be right there and show you where my information's coming from. And I'm going to let you watch the conversation happen so that you can learn with me to the extent that you're interested in being part of that conversation. And in the end, you'll even be able to participate in some of that Q&A. And then the policy for, call it that one particular issue, we're going to take that draft and put that into a collaborative platform where you can have the ability to comment and edit and debate and truly make this a collaborative system. I think that we used to be in a broadcast society where leadership and politicians and the media would talk down to you or talk at you and tell you what to do. And I believe we've been shifting out of that, certainly the younger half of the nation. We're moving into a collaborative, sort of participatory world. And so, we're going through these transitions, and in this presidential campaign, we want this to truly be a collaborative event where your voice matters, where your voice counts, because I know I don't have all the answers. But I do believe collectively we can come up with a good or the right answer for right now, and then evaluate that experiment and understand how it's done, and then continue to iterate through it. But I believe in that idea of broad participation and collaboration, because I don't know where the best ideas are going to come from. They could be from you.
I love it. I think that is the way of the future, and I think that's what the younger generation is going to want, and they're going to be excited to be a part of it, and it's going to be something that will encourage them to actually start participating in these things, the ones that usually are not. And that's also, why this event's happening, is to come together, share ideas, put our minds together, and how we can co-create this brighter future together. And I, in regards to the technology in that, do you have any idea, aside from your campaign, is there any way to integrate a system like that actually in the government itself moving forward in the future?
Yes, in the same way that all of our lives and all of our businesses have been impacted by technology, our government will eventually be impacted by technology as well, in a good way. Technology should enable the government to become more effective at serving, us, the people. And over time, it should also be, I think governments one day will start to look more and more like technology platforms, and that we're going to be developing things on top of them, less so than, call it lots and lots of people. It'll become more and more of a technology platform, but that's long term. In the short term, we have a lot of, but there's little things we can do. I mean, take for example, stimulus checks and unemployment. You'd think that we could be able to deliver $1,200 to every American, if the government wanted, in the snap of the fingers, or call it within the same day. But it should be near instant. We're talking minutes, if not seconds. And technology has the ability to enable these sorts of things. Also, elections, which is relevant to this conversation. Right now, a lot of people don't vote because it's not easy. There's a lot of friction. And so if we eliminated the friction around voting and made it really easy that you could vote from your phone and know that there's no voter fraud because we've solved digital identity and all that sort of stuff, and with absolute certainty, which technology can do already, that would change things. Now, obviously, I would think that the establishment, the traditional political parties, don't want to make voting easier because a majority of the people are not subscribed to that program. And so if we make voting easier, it would probably mean the end of the duopoly. It probably means the emergence of something new, something that probably transcends partisan politics. And I do think that this is about the political rise. I think that we are going to rise above politics and reunite our nation and harmonize the left and the right. I think that's the path we're on. And to me, it's not a matter of if. We've already won. This is going to happen. It's just a matter of, is it now, sooner, or later? 2020, 2022, 2024. There's no way we lose.
What timeline are we going to choose, right?
I think we should try and do that now, and it might even be worth
as quick as possible.
Yeah, so because I think it matters. I'm not sure we can another 4 years or 8 years of continuing to dig a deeper hole for ourselves, putting ourselves further and further into debt, not just financially, but environmentally, and in all the ways that we do, from an equality and justice. I mean, all of it. The whole system is desperately in need of meaningful reform, right? And so, one of my core pillars and philosophies is truth. I believe that this is we're entering the age of truth, and so transparency is like philosophically like in my bones to the core of like who and what I represent. And so this is one where most people would think it's a little strange, but I'll share with you right now the story as I see it, which is the greatest hack, and how we win this election. And so I've been meeting with all these top political advisors and strategists and campaign managers, like the heavy hitters, like the experts from all ends of the spectrum. And when I explain the strategy, they're like, "Who are you?" I go, someone from outside of the box. Think of me as a gamer, and as someone that looks at systems and finds the holes. And I study history enough to the point that I find the things that have been lost that shouldn't have been lost. And so the strategy is mind blowing for everyone, because they're like, oh my God, this could work. Like, this isn't crazy, Brock. Like, actually, you could win. Like, and I'm like, yeah. What did you think? I was just messing around. And they're like, I didn't know how it was possible. But thank you for that lesson. So I'll tell you how this works. Meaning, I'm not keeping this a secret and tight to my vest and like working out the strategy. I'm literally telling the Democrats and the Republicans exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And try and stop us. Good luck. And so here's the model, and why it's not a wasted vote, and why it's important we engage and get involved right now. So you have to really understand the Constitution and the 12th Amendment. Don't worry, if you don't know these things, I'm going to break it down for you really simply right now. And that is to win in the general election. You need to win what is a majority, and majority being the key word, of the Electoral College vote. Meaning, in a two-party system, if there was a tie, no one wins, which is what happened in the year 1800 with Thomas Jefferson versus Aaron Burr. So that's what tie happens. Now, if there's more than two parties, let's say there were three parties that got any traction, or four parties, as the case may be, in 1824. This has happened twice in U.S. history. It's been nearly 200 years, so it's something that most people have forgotten and they don't really pay attention to. But if a third party was to win one state, three would be better, but it becomes likely, if we win three states, that no one wins in the general election. So we are not trying to win a majority. We're trying to win a minority, a small piece of this country, which is enough to make sure that no one wins the election. It's only happened twice, a tie in the year 1800, and then four parties, no one got a majority in 1824. And so we have a very realistic possibility. Can we win one state? Do you think there's enough conscious people in this country and enough youth in this country that realize, that see what we see, feel what we feel, and realize it's a time for a real change? Do you think that we could win one state? I think we can. I'm convinced we can. I think we can win three states, maybe even more. But what that is putting it into perspective that this is not some outlandish, crazy goal. This is within our grasp. This is within reach. And so what happens if no one wins the general election? There's not a runoff. There's not like they don't switch to the popular vote. They take the top three candidates, which we would be one of in this scenario that I've just outlined. And those three candidates are then given to the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives chooses the president, with each state getting one vote. So now in the Electoral College, not all states are equal. But in the House of Representatives' decision in choosing the president, it is equal. One state, one vote. And so there's 50 votes. And in the year 1824, when there were three candidates, they chose the third place candidate, John Quincy Adams, to be president. In this environment, it's a very realistic possibility that we would have a split vote where the Republicans couldn't possibly approve the Democratic candidate, and the Democrats couldn't possibly re-elect our current Republican candidate. And it's feasible that they would need a compromising candidate, someone that basically averts civil war. I mean, it would be, we're obviously tensions are high. I don't want to use words like that. Please forgive me, but it's kind of that serious. The polarization in this country, and it is very feasible that you could find a third party, moderate, independent candidate that's focused on reuniting our nation. And if a movement emerged and we won a few states, as that being the best possible outcome. This is not crazy. I've just shown you a viable path to us being the key word there, winning. And this is not about me, it's about all of us. Whatever happens, I'm not attached to this outcome. If we create a movement of real change, in 2022, we need to start. I want to make sure everyone knows that not only do you have permission, but I'd like everyone to stop and think. Imagine that you were, the king of your kingdom or the queen of your queendom, or let's use the concept, you were the president of your life, right? You were the mayor of your life. Start to put that kind of concept on and start thinking about what it is that you could do for yourself, but then eventually others. Because for this change to happen in 2022 and 2024, we need a bunch of people to rise up and say, I'm going to run for office. We want mayors all over the country, state, Congress, and Senate, governors. Like, this is our moment. This is our birthright. This is our inheritance. Like, what is meant to happen is from generation to generation, the last generation is to pass the baton to us. This is our moment. This is our rise. This is that time where we are going to step in and take over the leadership and control of our political system and do everything we can as fast as we can to try and avert the disastrous path that we're on. What has served us in the past is no longer going to serve us in the future. And so I'm looking to connect with every single person that is ready to become part of this process, because it takes all of us, from a local to national, all the way up to the presidential level. And I do things in decades. I spent my 20s principally in the virtual world. I spent my 30s, call it, in building systems of governance and inclusion and transparency and immutability. And my next decade or more is going to be entirely focused on civil service, because I want to make sure I have two young girls that there is a brighter future for them, a world they're going to want to live in, and I want to make sure that there is a world left for the generations that follow. And I'm sorry to say it, but I think it's kind of up to us. I don't think there is anybody else showing up to do this job. Now, trust me, I've been waiting. I'm like, okay, who's going to step up and do this, right? Where's this great president going to come from? And I'm kind of there, and I've already received the calling. These are dharmic things that have been with you. But I'm I assumed I had, a lot more time was going to go by before, it was my moment to step up the plate. And I'm like, okay, where's that person? Who am I here to help? And no one's showing up, and no one's showing up. And all of a sudden, I'm just kind of standing there alone. I'm like, oh, God, help me. And I think that's going to be true for a lot of us. Who's ready to step up and make that ultimate sacrifice, right? That ultimate act of service for the benefit of everyone else. And so not only is this permission, I'm prodding you to look inward, to meditate, to think on this, and to see if you're being called to this. I know for me, and like most of you, I spent the first 35 years of my life going, why would I ever want anything to do with government? Why would I want to be involved in that when I can be a creator operating outside of the box without all the red tape and bureaucracy? But at this point in my life, I realize that, the old and the new have to win together, come together if we want to create an evolutionary event. And the best path forward for humanity is a bunch of conscious, good-hearted, high integrity, I don't mean little I, capital I, individuals willing to step into service as stewards, as real leaders, custodians, to help guide us into the future that we all want to live in.
Aho, well said. I think you hit it right on the dot there. It's time. It's what needs to happen. And a lot of people here watching that are a part of this event right now, they all want to make a difference. They all want us, have a part to play in this co-creation of making things better, where the few can support the many versus the many supporting the few. And I just want to ask you one last question here, because I know your time is very precious and you're a very busy man with this campaign going. What is so for everyone watching right now, what's the best way? Well, one, just even in our country, for everyone sitting in the United States right now, but we also have people coming in from all around the world. What's the best way for people that want to make a difference? What's the best way we can start harmonizing America and the world right now?
Well, first and foremost, as most of you know, it all starts with you, right? It starts with looking inward. We only really have the power to change ourselves, but through the bettering of ourselves, we have the ability to inspire others to be a better version of themselves, right? Walk the walk, practice what you preach, all of those things. And as you get good at being your highest and best self, then, what is your purpose? What is your intention? How are you going to apply yourself? The world needs us now. And one of the reminders, certainly for, those of us that are spiritual, a lot of us will spend time in kind of that celestial sort of spiritual realm. But remember, right now, it's really about bringing that back to ground. It's grounding it and doing the work right now. And so I would encourage everyone to go back and reflect on that. Are you grounding all of those incredible messages and information that you're receiving? And are you translating and integrating that information into the work that is necessary, that needs to happen now? Every single one of us is an important key or piece of a puzzle. And only together, working together, will we actually make this real shift happen, to basically take us through this entire civilization redesign, which is what's going to have to happen. We can do it all. The future is literally what we make it. So if you've been questioning it and I think now is the time to act, and I don't mean just now. It's today, it's tomorrow, and it's every day that follows until this job is done. And if you're interested in any of the things that we're doing and you want to get involved, come to our website, which is brock.vote, Brock the vote, brock.vote. And, we need obviously all the help we can get. Also, we're on social. One of the big things is getting the word out, right? Spreading the word, getting the message out. That's huge. And I think the strategy is worth, I've just laid it out transparently. I think it's important we all understand that this is not some crazy out of reach idea. Winning one state and breaking the duopoly is within reach. It really is. So now that you understand the strategy, that hopefully is enough reason to get you motivated to say, okay, time to stand up for what we know is right. Time to speak up, for what we know is right.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Brock. Is there anything else you would like to share with Harmonizing Humanity before we end this fireside chat together?
Nothing, just gratitude to be here today, to have a chance to speak with each and every one of you. This is Tribe. I imagine everything I've said makes sense in more ways than one. And just really honored, and thank you to each and every one of you for showing up at events like this, because that means that you're doing the work, right? You're focused on the right things, and keep up the good work. Contribute to this great transformation in whatever ways you're called, and just know that I'm here to support all of you. This is about all of us. It's about our collective future. This is about not a win-win. It's about an all-win. It's about all of us winning, up and down, left and right. And so enjoy the rest of your day, and keep on bringing harmony to the world. Love and light.
Thank you. And make sure to go check out brock.vote and get involved. We need everyone we can.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Brock. Wishing you a blessed rest of your day.